Hello everybody. So today I am very angry. Not because of the content of the video. If this isn't 90% caught part 4, we're done with that. I'm not angry because of the video. I'm angry because look how long this video is, and then realize that this is my second time recording this because the first time I recorded it I didn't have my microphone on. I'm going to scream. Anyhow, let's actually get on with it because I have 3 more video scripts to record tonight. It's 1 a.m. I'm gonna lose my mind. But today, let's get on with it. We're gonna be talking about the illusion of choice in Paladins. I made a video on this, but that was a long time ago. It was a really good video, aside from like the editing and the number of times that I said and the lack of background music and the voiceover and the overall just kind of production value. I was going to remake that video, but aside from it being from a time where I wasn't super comfortable with creating and recording videos, and somehow forgetting that every champion is 16 cards instead of 20, it's a good video. So I'll link it in the description. I'm going to talk about it, but if you do want to watch the whole thing, it's there. Here's the important bits. I went over every support. I took 6 builds from 6 pro players in NA, EU, and BR, and I compared them. I counted how many cards were used, and how many cards were used above level 1. From this information, I concluded that, on average, if you want to make a build for a support, you have 7 cards that you can choose from. You have 5 cards that are viable above level 1, and you have 4 decisions to make when you make that build. That's out of 16 cards. So from those 6 builds, 75% of cards were being used. And you can flip that and you can say that 25% of cards aren't being used at all. And from that 75%, only 12% out of 100%, not out of the 75, only 12% of cards in total are being used above level 1 as non-1 pointers. And that 12%, that's the big number, that's the number that matters, because that's really where the meat and potatoes of decisions when it comes to loadouts are being made. And if you look at talents, only Pip really has more than 1 talent that's viable for being a support. So when you make a build, you make 4 decisions from 7 cards for 1 talent. Despite all the choices available, there really aren't that many that matter, and the choices that you do make aren't super significant. If you're interested in the math or the methodology and the examples, again, it's all linked in the description. The rest of the video was just feedback, which was based on my interpretation of the numbers. I suggested to make more talents, follow the whole healing talent, damage talent, utility talent formula that they sort of had going on. That's a good system. It allows for a champion to have multiple niches if the talents are balanced well. I suggested to not make healing talents a flat buff, make them change the healing in some way. A lot of talents are frankly poorly balanced. So balance gooder. There's not really a nice way to say that, but there's not really an elegant way to say that, but you know what I mean. Some talents are bad and boring, and some of them don't fit the healing talent, damage talent, utility talent formula sort of thing. So reworking those talents that are fundamentally flawed in some way is a good idea. Because if you have more viable talents, you have more builds and more cards and more variety to complement those talents. There's a lot of mandatory cards in support builds. You can look at Eerie Presence and Possession for Damba. You can look at Genos' entire build. That's kind of something that's difficult to change now, but it's worth addressing for newer champions. Something else that was interesting is that for champs that tended to have more variety in their builds, there was usually multiple ways to do something. Like Barrack has a decent amount of variety in his builds, and that's because there's a lot of ways to survive. And those all have their own little interactions and all that. I'm not really a particularly fantastic Barrack player who spends a lot of time fury crafting and testing Barrack builds, but his builds do have a lot of variety, and that's the unique part. That's like almost certainly why his builds have variety. Some cards do the exact same thing, like Sorceress has Duskwalker and Fade to Black, and that's not usually great unless combining them does something like really important or cool, but that almost never happened. I can't think of an example where that happened. Cards that added utility of some sort were usually good for variety. Usually this is like, so like Swift Spirits, Swift Arrows, Light of Dawn, Pep in the Step, Sorceress. I called these some big cards in the original video, but I think it's more appropriate to just call them utility cards. So utility cards tended to be good for variety. Having multiple good options for one-pointers helped a lot, because at the end of the day, you are going to have one-pointers in a build. So having cards that are designed for that and offer variety in that way, rather than just for the main core cards of a build, is good. A lot of cards are boring and bad, and similar to the talents that are boring and bad, it's best to rework them. Some cards are just plain bad, but they're fundamentally fine. In the original video, I mentioned Snake Pit. Snake Pit got buffed. The value of it got doubled. It's Damba's speed card. And now it's a utility card, basically. It was a utility card, it was just bad, and now it's a utility card, and it's good. So sometimes you run it, it has a niche now. So buffing and reworking cards is going to increase variety. We can also see that there is experimentations with builds. I particularly remember Damba's Otherworldly card, which has been changed, and now another card has the same effect, which is like really confusing to keep track of. Basically it's speed after sliver. People started to mess around with that. So the point is, that's not the only example, but the point is that people do mess around with builds, and people do try to find the best build, and they mess around with different cards. I know that Corvus's Abyssal Affliction card or something is being tested right now. Like that's all of a sudden become something that people are looking into. So people do test stuff, but because the only thing I can think of is Corvus's DR card, there's not really much to test, right? People are looking to test stuff and find what's next and find what's new and what's actually good. There's just nothing. There's nothing to test, because everything is either bad or boring and bad. And doing these sorts of reworks and buffs and all these balance changes on a level where this has an impact on the game would be a big change. But like I said in the video, which was released near Season 3, we're not scared of big changes, we just deleted the entire off-tank role. And that was it. The video wasn't perfect, obviously, but it was a fairly solid way of saying, hey, this variety thing your game is built on doesn't actually exist. You have all these options, but if you want a good build, you don't really have that many choices. So the game says, hey, here's all the cards and the talents and items that you can choose from. But if you want a good build, again, you have like 5 choices. It's an illusion of choice. So with that video done, and after no less than 5 iterations of this script, and on the second recording, what we're going to do is talk about some more specific examples of everything that I talked about in the earlier video, and give more direct solutions to this problem of illusion of choice. So first of all, I want to prove that this isn't just Fury crafting, because to a point it is, and obviously the examples that I give are Fury crafting and subject to playtest and subject to me being stupid and all that stuff, right? But we have a precedent for this stuff. We can look at Sorceress. So Sorceress used to be, if I remember right, I might get some numbers wrong. I mean, it's more the idea. Sorceress used to be 5% reload speed per level. It is now 7% alt charge per level. Sorceress is run in some builds. Like you can see, I have it in a whole bunch of builds. I have it at 5 in these 2. People run this card now. People didn't used to run the card before. And there are builds that, don't have it or have it at a very low level at 8. It's just a 1-pointer in this build. I'll probably switch it out later, but it gets run. And it didn't used to get run before, and the reason that it gets run now is because it was changed. It was reworked. It was reload speed. Like, that's boring. Sorceress already has ways of giving ammo. Like, this one's bad, but like, these two are okay. Reworking the card was a success, right? And that's kind of the point, is that, you know, there's more examples. I already mentioned Snakebit. Snakebit got its value doubled. It used to be 2% per level. It used to go like between 2 and a 3 of what it is now. It got a gigantic buff, and now it is playable. I played a ranked game earlier with this. It has a niche. Again, it was a card. It wasn't boring. It was just bad. It was a utility card. It just wasn't very good. It got buffed. It got buffed by a factor of 2. It got doubled in power. I mean, it's still not great. I usually use like this build, but you know, it's got a niche. It's cool. It's fun. It's like, dude, you get to zoom with this card, right? So that's great. There are other examples. We have Fatalis on Grover. This used to be, if I remember right, 10% move speed for 3 seconds on hitting a route. So, like, it's a bit strong now. It's really strong now. Which, I mean, it's not fantastic, but, you know, it's a step in the right direction. Like, I'd rather a card be strong, but not boring, because you can nerf a strong card. But if a card is just boring, then you know, you can buff it all you want. But it's kind of just going to be boring. Unless you, like, really, really buff it. But then it could still be better, you know? You'd rather rework it? I mean, it'd be easier to just buff it, but I mean, that depends on, you know. I'm not going to pretend like I work in the game industry or game development or all that. But the point is, you could either, like, let's say you have Fatalis, you have old Fatalis. You can either, like, crank the value and just say, screw it, we're going to make this card good. Because anything at a high enough level is going to be good, frankly. Or you can rework it to something more interesting, because Fatalis has some cool interactions and a, you know, cool synergy with Chop Down and Deep Roots, and it's your best way to reset your heal. And then what levels do you actually run it at? Like, I spent a lot of time in shooting range with different levels of Chronos and different levels of these cards, trying to mess around and figure out which one is best. At the end of the day, it was just the highest level of both. Who would have thunk it? Because I think if you do this, like, your synergy gets messed up. So yeah, like, there's actually some thought behind these, and like, this is cool stuff, right? Like, this is cool. The rework is cool. And before, nobody used it. Bad card. Now, cool card, good card, strong card. Maybe a bit too strong, but like, that's fine. That's a smaller problem, and a better problem to have than the problem that we used to have. Same thing with Atlas, but on a slightly bigger level. Atlas's Phantom Pain. It used to be 10% lifesteal on people affected by setback for 3 seconds. Again, not 100% sure on the numbers, but that's the general gist of it. It was lifesteal on setback. Complete garbage. Actually, like, one of his worst cards. I mean, he's got some pretty bad cards. I think this... Oh, sorry, not that one. Like, this one is pretty bad. This one's pretty bad. I don't know. What else does he have? I mean, that's not fantastic. Is this good? You could crank that. That might be weird. Imagine if you just, like... This is another card that's, like... You could just buff this, dude. Just buff it to, like, 3 seconds. And, like, send people, like, yeet them back. Maybe not 3 seconds. Maybe 2 seconds. And then, you know, who knows. But, like, you can kind of see, like, what I'm getting at, right? Is that... I mean, okay, let's be real. Phantom Pain is a bit too strong. Phantom Pain is a bit too strong, and especially going from useless to mandatory 5-pointer. Not really what you want. But the theory's there, and... If you want to balance this card, if you want to make this card good, it's a lot easier to say, okay, we're going to nerf Phantom Pain to 4 seconds at level 5, or 3 seconds at level 5, or whatever number. Instead of, hey, we need to rework this card, and design it, and test it, and program it. Instead of, hey, you know, hey Kevin, I assume there's a Kevin in programming, right? Hey Kevin, change the number. Sure thing. Okay, let's place test it now. Hey, this feels pretty good. Good change, guys. Push it. Like, you know? So you could do the same thing with this, because, like, frankly, this card is boring. Like, this is... I mean... Again, you could crank the value on this, dude. Just make it, like, I don't know, give him like 30% alt charge after getting an elo. No, don't do that. That'd be whatever number, right? I don't know. Don't do 30%. That'd be stupid. But again, you know, you could crank the number on this and bring it to the level of his other cards and make it playable, because nobody uses this card. Let's be honest. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to the I don't know what it's called, but it's like a spreadsheet that pulls from the API that has like stats and stuff, and I'm gonna pull on that. I'm gonna see how many people actually use this card. Okay, so I can only pull from ranked numbers, but across all ranks, there have been like 7,000 games of Atlas played. There have been, in total, across all levels, 150 games played of this card. Most of them are at level 1, which is kind of weird, but... So if you do the math, actually, 0.02% of players use this card. And yeah, maybe there's someone out there who really likes Ravages of Time, and it's like, yeah, this is what my playstyle is built around. If that's you, by the way, let me know in the comments. Are you a Ravages of Time gamer? And yeah, you could risk maybe annoying them a little bit, but if you crank the values, they're happy. The player base as a whole is happy because they get a new card to play with. And if you rework it, well, it's 0.2% of players. They, you know, is it really going to make or break the game for them? Almost definitely not. It's Ravages of Time, let's be real here. And the potential is that it's like a cool card for Atlas players, and it's like just awesome. Yeah? So, good thing, you know, and like now it's like, okay, well, what does this become? And I don't think I had an example for this. This was mostly just meant to... I'm going to go on to specific examples eventually, because like I'm not going to be able to come up with one of these on the spot. Like, it's for his weapon, right? I don't know. Make it like Shaolin's Poise, where it reduces the movement speed penalty. That could be fun. There you go, right there. Like, something better. I don't know. Or whichever one. Wanderlust? No, Wanderlust is base speed. There's one that's a scam and one that's not for Shaolin. I forget which one. That's off topic. This video is going to take ages. I hope you guys are nice and comfy. There was another example that I had. Predation on Maeve. Here we go. I have to read my script. So, Predation is like... That's not Predation. This is Predation. Predation is cool, right? This is a card that... I remember I was talking with Penguin about this, and Penguin, for those who don't know, cool gamer. He doesn't play Paladins too much anymore, but he won PWC in NA as Flex DPS, so he's like pretty good at the game, and he likes Maeve. And he was talking about how he doesn't like Predation, but some people do. It's a cool card. It's a fun card. It's viable. It's like... It's not bad, and it's not boring. Some people like it. It's better. It's, you know, it's good for the game. And when we look at what it was, it's almost laughable, because Predation used to be more move speed out of combat. That was useless. There are some characters who have that now. I don't know if I'm going to go over them, but Willow and Ying still have those cards. And it's like, with Maeve, you had that card, and you reworked it, and now it's awesome. And Ying and Willow still have theirs. You have opportunities to add cool stuff to the game, and I think it should be done. Because, I don't know if this is later in the script, honestly. It's been a while since I wrote this script. I've just been streaming too late, but I couldn't record this video because I know this video is going to take a while to record. And I care for my sleep schedule, at the very least a little bit. So, I mentioned this in the original video, but like nobody says, like nobody thinks that more variety is bad. Everybody, literally everyone who plays the game agrees that variety is good. So let's add variety. Here's the chance to do it. Now for some cards that I've actually like put some thought into, right? We're just gonna clear this build. So Pungent, oh, that's not, I keep misclicking, dude. I need to work on my menu, Kovacs. Pungent Gourd is the first in a long line of cards that are just heal after using ability. Like heal for a little bit after using ability. And like, to be fair, 450 is like a decent amount, but like you realize that you're comparing it to like, I don't know, what's like even these cards, man. Like you're comparing some pretty good cards. So if you actually want this thing to be run, it needs like a niche or something to be done. Again, you could crank the value on this. You could like, all right, Dombo's healing for 1,000. Dombo now has Pit Potion. And like, that would be good. That would obviously be very, very strong. Or maybe not 1,000. That'd be probably stupid. My balance suggestions, as you can tell, need the numbers to be tweaked a little bit. But, you know, it'd be more exciting than that. But you could also go about like reworking it. And for reworking it, something you could do is make this card increase the size of your gourd. And what that does is, first of all, it's a niche, right? Like nothing else does anything like that, right? Stuff like enables your gourd, but nothing like increase the uptime, the distance. I hate this card. I don't get why people run it. It sucks. Don't use this build, or don't use this card, and I will die on this hill. So it's unique to Pungent Gourd, and it could potentially give Ripened Gourd, right? Gourd Dombo, something to have in your build. Like, you know, if this was, let's say this is Gourd Radius. Okay, let's put it at 5. We could do this. We need Eerie Presence, because it's Eerie Presence. Again, mandatory cards, not fantastic. I'm gonna have DR. So we could do something like this. Or, I don't know, maybe like this? Is it Gourd Radius? I don't know. Again, depending on the card level and how impactful stuff is, you could do this, you could do this, you could do like this if you're feeling that's probably stupid. You could probably... You see how, like, what I'm trying to get at, though, and I feel like I've explained myself well enough, and I'm just repeating myself at this point, but this is an example of where I think that particular rework could give a niche, it could be used, it could be exciting, because it, you know, offers more opportunities. If you really want to do, like, some wanky stuff, you could, like... I don't think wanky was the word. I think wonky was more the word. I don't think... Yeah, wanky was not the word. You can do something like this, right? If you really wanted to, and just like mess around, right? Who knows? Maybe this is good on some maps. Maybe it breaks some benchmarks on some maps. Like, you never know, right? That's kind of the point of this. Like, you're not really gonna run this. This isn't gonna be viable. It doesn't need to be like viable at the highest level. But if it opens up like a fun new avenue for a playstyle in a casual game, or even just someone wants to have fun, like dicking around. Pungent Gourd right now, heal for 450, not doing that at all. Gorber, another example. Genos has Eclipse, which I thought this was heal every. I thought this was just a small burst heal, but it's heal every 1 second. 250. How long does this ability last? 2.5 seconds. So that's 1,000 healing. That's okay. Realistically, you're gonna be Cottage right now, which is honestly like the biggest downfall of most of these cards. Is that, yeah, cool healing, yay, but you're gonna be Cotted and the value isn't super high. Again, boring, bad. So what can you do that's maybe a bit more exciting and a bit more viable? I think you could make this card, since it's a grip card, you could have it increase the height that players get gripped at. I think it'd be funny if that was a card that you could run just at level 5, you just grip someone and they go up. I think that'd be funny. Or you could make it gain move speed while someone is lifted, or something like that, you know? And I think move speed is just like an objectively fun thing to have in a game. Use the ability to go wee! Like, that's fun. There's a reason Snake Pit is awesome and I love it, so even if it's not the best, I still like going fast and building nimble, you know? Good stuff. So that's something you could do with it. Sorceress has a card similar. We're not going to be just going over sports, by the way. I don't want to delete my builds. Sorceress has a card called Darksight. This card is, again, pretty bad because you have... First of all, it's outclassed, and second of all, it's bad, right? Like, it's ammo. It's ammo and that's cool. But it's boring. I mean, it's just ammo back. It doesn't, like, enable anything. Like, this is, like, cool, I can take duels better. I can spam more often. This is like, I don't know. It's always outclassed by one of these. I don't know what this does. That's probably because it doesn't do anything better. Like, I've messed around with it. I've used this build. I've used that card. It's not good. It's boring. Doesn't enable anything. It's just, it sucks. What I suggest doing. So Bane right now is a card. Gives you move speed. This is another card that's like, it's a cool card. you just up the value, because 15% is like, can we increase that a little bit? Like, get rid of the cap and just, you know, like, I think if you could run like this and just zoom because you're hitting Q all the time, I think that'd be fun. I think that'd be great. That's probably not viable, no, but that'd be great. But what I mainly want to talk about is how this card was before. So Bane was reworked a while back, I don't remember when, but it used to be hitting Q and detonating stacks reduce the cooldown of your heal. And I thought that was a cool card. I used to run that card, I think. I don't know, it could have been bad, but like, it's a cool idea. It's fun, right? It's like, you get to choose when you want to like use your burst to get your heal back, and like, it's cool. It's fun. It's strong. I don't know why they changed it, to be honest, but Darksight being the way it is offers an opportunity to have new Bane and old Bane in the game at the same time. I'm just going to keep going over examples because there's a lot of these. Like, go through every character's loadout or just your favorite character's loadout and just see which cards are boring and bad, or just boring, or just bad, honestly, and they're everywhere. Every character has them. Atlas, this card does absolutely nothing. So I want to thank Audrey for telling me that this card ran out before you finish setting someone back. That turned out to be wrong, so thanks for wasting my time. Because apparently setbacks sets people back 4 seconds in the past, but it takes like, I don't actually know how long to activate. The game doesn't say. So it's whatever long Atlas's charge rate is. So this card is ass. It's bad. It's like not super fun. You could again crank the value or something, whatever. There's potential here. Some stuff you could do. You could have one thing that I think would be cool about this card is if you made it so that hitting a player with setback reduce the cooldown of setback based off of how far away you hit them from. So like if you like yeeted a setback from downfield, right, and you hit it, it would reduce the cooldown of your next setback. And I think that could be cool, right? Because you're not really going to be, it's not going to be consistent, but like, it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. So, cool stuff there. If you wanted to give him a utility card, and really change how he plays with his loadout, which I don't know how interested Evil Mojo is in that. Like, you know, we had Wormhole Eevee. Wormhole was a loadout card for all you Zoomers out there, and that changed your playstyle by a lot, which, can we bring back Wormhole Eevee, or at the very least be able to... I just miss being able to customize her blink duration. I always like to have it at 2 seconds, but... Anyhow, right, so I don't know how they feel about like big talent level almost loadout cards. I don't know how they feel about that anymore, but if you wanted to change, to add something like that, you could have setback slow people instead of rewinding them, and that could like potentially be better in some situations. And again, you have tools to like keep this complicated stuff away from new players. You can not put it in default builds. You can keep Atlas costing 60k gold. You can use the tools the game has to keep this away from new players until they get more used to the game. If you wanted to add something like that. It's just, you know, again, spitballing ideas. For a card that I think is purely bad, not boring. Oh, that's not, no. So Devout Dexterity, this card is pretty bad. Like, you could quadruple this card's value. Make it scale 16 per level. And it wouldn't even be that great. So, like, this is a card that's cool, dude. Like, it's cool and pure. You get to, like, snowball. You get to, like, hard pop. You don't have space for it, but, like, if it was good as a one-pointer, again, maybe you have better one-pointer options. And you have the and it's not broken. If it, you know, if you quadruple the scaling, and it's like 20 ammo, 20 ammo after an Elim. I mean, Furia can hit, by the way. This is 20 ammo. This is 22 ammo. 22 ammo Furia is something else. So if you wanted to do that, you know, you could, if you were crazy. But you know, it'd be better loadout variety. When we're talking about Furia cards, by the way, I don't know if people know this. How did I click? How did I keep clicking on the wrong card? Let's talk about this card. This card is the stupidest thing. Not because of what it is. It's kind of strong, like 375 applies to each ball, so it's like, quick maths, like 1125? So, that better be right, otherwise I'm gonna look dumb. Yeah. So, this ability, it can't be caughted. What the heck? It's not relevant to this video. What? This has been like this since launch, if I remember right. What? Anyhow, on to the next card. I'm gonna hit save on one of these, it feels like. Here, I'll be consistent and keep putting the cards over there. This is one of the movement speed while out of combat cards that I was talking about. And you could rework it to be sort of the same thing. You have the code to check if you hit all 5 ticks of the weapon shot with focusing lens. So you could have this card be something like that. Like if you hit all 5 ticks, it gives you like movement speed or reduces the cooldown of something. Reduces the cooldown of teleport would be something interesting maybe. I don't know by how much, like, I don't know, like 0.2 scaling? 0.1 scaling? 0.15 scaling? 0.15 scaling would probably be reasonable. But, I don't know, it'd be something else than this, which is absolutely useless. Also, random thing, so if you ran like this in non-life exchange build, you used to be able to run resonance and keep your clones in a perpetual state of being shattered. You know when they turn pink and they start looking for people? You used to be able to shatter them and they'd stay pink because you would refresh the shatter duration. I don't know how to explain it, but like Bitey showed this to me. So what you could do is you could just have like 2 heat-seeking missiles out all the time, and then they wouldn't explode until they found something. So you would, keep shooting. You just keep hitting right-click. I don't remember the exact level this needed to be at. It wasn't 5. Was it 5? I don't remember. It's not super important. But you used to be able to do that, and then like that got removed without being. It got shadow changed at some patch. So I don't. Again, random card topic, but something I feel like is important. Kinessa has a card called Line Wait, which is awful. You stand still. Like, I don't even think this card should be good the way it is, right? You don't want to encourage standing still. If you really wanted to make this like, you just make it not consume ammo and have the scaling bit be like the 1 second. Just again, have it be like a good 1-pointer or something. I don't know. Maybe. Or maybe have it be like, while standing still, don't consume ammo and heal for scaling amount of healing per second. Like heal for like 30 healing per second. Again, something, just bad card. For a card that is cool, but doesn't do anything, this looks good. I really like this card. This is like Jolt Vora, But the scaling is absolute garbage. Like, if you actually test out this card, I should go test out this card. So this is with no Jolt, whatever. What's the card called? This is with no Ruthless Elegance. And this is with Ruthless Elegance 5. So like it knocked her up. Wait, did she? Oh, she went behind me, okay. So, I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing. So if you, again, this is a cool card, crank it. Let's get like 200% scaling in this thing, Let's send people flying, because that stuff's awesome. A card that I am particularly invested in is Pickup. So this card is the single most disappointing card in the game for me. Because when you see this, you're like, oh my god. I'm gonna be Spider-Man. And then you realize that you can't be Spider-Man. And when you realize that you can't be Spider-Man, you get sad. Because that sucks. And you want to be Spider-Man. So, I kind of get what they're going for. Like, I get what you're going for, Evil Mojo. I see you. You don't want people to run this at 5, and, like, yeah, that's a pretty low commitment for infinite mobility, right? Especially with Vine Tech. So, I see you, but Nature's Quickness, this card right here, is another one of those cards it's bad. I'm not sure if it's boring. You could maybe crank the numbers. I don't know. Don't rework this card. Bon Scott will cry. You could find, pick one of these cards. Get rid of them. Increase the scaling of this if you want, but have one of these be base CDR. Base cooldown reduction on Vine. Maybe Overgrowth, because honestly, like, I don't care. Like, screw that card. Nobody likes that card. Maybe even this one if you really want to promote Vine Tech, but because this card is useless if you know how to Vine Tech. But which I have a video on, by the way. It's the most popular video on the channel, I think. So yeah, go. You can sort of be Spider-Man, but you want to be able to like Vine, hit the root, Vine, hit the root, Vine, hit the root, and just like do that. So let's let people do that. Let's let people be Spider-Man. I mean, I'm 100% all for Spider-Man skin, if of course, if you can get licensing. But if let's say you could do this. Again, forget about these cards. Let's just like change them to something random. Let's say you could do this, and this was base cooldown reduction. Maybe it was like this, or something. I don't care. Let's say you could run this, and you could Spider-Man. Or let's say you had to do this. Let's say you had to have these free cards at these levels, which gives you no variety, and you have to start Kronos 1 to get the full Spider-Man effect going. That would be fantastic. Would it be viable? Not really. However, I mean, because you're investing like all your whoever needs these cards to be good, frankly. It might not be. Especially if mid-air inaccuracy. I mean, mid-air inaccuracy should be gone, and that's a different topic, but, like, chances are... Would it be viable? I don't know. Again, it doesn't matter whether it be viable or not, frankly. Like, if Spider-Man Grover needs to be nerfed, well, then at least we had it for a patch, frankly. But let's have Spider-Man Grover. Can we get this trending? Like, make this a thing that people push for? Spider-Man Grover? Because it's literally the saddest thing. Because... this is something that I've seen in the game since I started. Pickup hasn't changed in a long, long time. And I want to be able to play Spider-Man Grover. So make Nature's Quickness base cooldown reduction. Buff pickup if you need to. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Let's do what we need to do to make Spider-Man Grover happen. Another card after the Spider-Man Grover rant is I have some. Where is it? I don't even know what these cards are. Oh, not that one. This one. This isn't good. This isn't good. Like, if we're gonna give BK an ECDR card, right? Can we at least have this be like 100%? Like, let's be honest here. Like, who cares if BK is getting instant resets on his cooldowns? Make it 75% like Bounce House Buck if you really want to. But 50% on a character whose cooldowns aren't really that important. I think that'd be cool. Like, I think BK just like chaining kills again because this is a level 5 card. It's a pretty high commitment. I think that'd be great. I didn't actually write down a suggestion for Bomb Shelter, but like, I don't know, give him base move speed or something. Now, that'd be a bit strong. Again, it took me a while to think of all the ideas, but it's okay. Like, this isn't like a we reworked like 100 cards. Surprise! Like, this is gonna take a while, and it obviously doesn't need to all be done at once. But at the very least, I'd like to see it happen. You know, variety. We're gonna keep going. I know Vatu is new, but ignore the name. This card is like absolute garbage. But this is an example of a card where like you leave it be, you let people figure out the character more. I'm just saying, it scares me that this got through because this seems boring and bad, and it seems pretty obvious that it's boring and bad. And obviously, I'll give it a shot, and I'll let the people who are actually like grinding VOD to like see what their thoughts are on this. But it's spooky. It is spooky. Makoa has a card called Sea Legs, which again is yet another one of those heal for a little bit after using ability. I'm doing air quotes right now. You can't see me. I don't know why I'm doing air quotes. But it's another one of those air quotes, heal for a little bit after using ability, and air quotes, cards. It's boring, it's bad. Again, I don't know what you make a card for a very busted ability. Like, I don't know what you do. I was thinking let Koa use it like a little tiny grappling hook. Like if he uses his hook, it like bumps him forward a little bit. But Makoa with vertical mobility would be terrifying. So maybe don't do that. Instead, you could sort of bring back old one of the versions of Davy Jones's locker, right, where you can like chain hooks. And you can make this like reduce the hook cooldown if you get a kill or an elim after hitting a hook for like a few seconds. You could do that. Again, that'd be very, very strong, but it'd be high risk, high reward sort of thing. Torv. So Torv has some garbage cards. Let's make a build of like purely garbage Torv cards. Where are they? I have a list. Here, these are pretty bad. Was there another one? This one seems pretty like. We could put more, like this one, 100 health shield after getting an elim. Sir, I can, where is it? I can get one of these after, I can get the same thing after, you know, using an ability on a, well, I guess it's a 9-second cooldown now, but you know, you get the idea. Like, they do the same thing. One is better, right? We can also talk about how 75 shield, 100 health shield, slightly different, but you get the idea. Like, these cards are boring. There's so much potential. If you really, like, the community has been asking for a rework. You guys have looked into a rework. It hasn't happened. I'm not going to pretend to know why. But you guys seem to, like, want to listen to the community on Torvald, and I get that, because, like, obviously it's something the community wants. This character is absolutely ass to play against when he is a pocket bubble bot and he's strong. It just sucks. Nobody likes that. So you've, you know, messed around with his cooldowns and his numbers a bit. But if you actually really want to mess with this guy like more, here's like 6 chances to. You can mess around with this dude at that point. I mean, don't mess around with this. That's move speed, and you could just change the duration of recharge, I think, make it take longer like it used to. But that's besides the point. Here's some more levers for you guys. Like, if you change his build, you're kind of reworking the character. Like, builds matter in this game, obviously. The point isn't that builds don't matter in this game. Builds matter a lot. Your talent matters a lot. It's that the choices that you make in making that loadout don't matter. You don't have any choices. They do matter. It's whether you want to have a good build or not, but the choices you make matter, but you don't have any choices. But the builds matter is the point. Builds matter is the point out of all that. So changing these changes something that is very, very impactful. Because right now these things might as well not exist, let's be honest. Nobody's using these. And it's another chance to change Torv. Like, look at the builds that I have, frankly. Like, this is a nullified build that I threw together and haven't played yet, but look at the other ones. You know, that's not what you like to see. Rom has... I don't know what these are. I'm gonna be honest. What are these? Like... I don't know. If you really wanted to change these, because I think you should, frankly, like, yeah, I get the idea, and like, yeah, sometimes you do run a reload, and like, this card ended up being really good, and like, that's one that nobody would have thought was good. But it's been a while. These two cards are still, you know, bad. What you could do that makes him not as bad is you could, I don't know why he doesn't have an ECDR card yet. That'd be really strong on him. It'd be fun. It'd be cool. Cool. You know, add it. You already have the code for it, I bet. Another thing they probably have the code for is Ruckus has a card called No Chill. And it's not fantastic. It's just not super high level, not high statted, so you don't really run it. But you could give Rom that, maybe change numbers a bit, and it'd be a cool card. Speaking of cool cards, Victor. So first of all, the first thing that you've got to know is that I have 1 damage Victor build and 3 cardio Victor builds. I like cardio just because it's funny. Screw everybody who disagrees. Yeah, cardio. So, what the hell is a 12-second internal cooldown doing on this card? Like, this is so oddly specific that there has to be a reason behind this. There legitimately has to be. What is it? Because, like, 12 seconds? Everything else is like 5, 15, 30, 45. 12 seconds? Like, I don't get it. So, let people run fast, man. Let people run fast. Even if it's just like... I mean, I like the idea of giving burst to it. I think that's cool. And I get that you don't want people to just be able to, like, start and stop running and have that, like, be faster than just holding it, because that's, like, weird, I guess. Is that even a bad thing? I don't know. You don't want it to stack, I guess, is probably the biggest thing. But then, like, what's the 12-second internal cooldown? Like, I'm so confused with this card. Can we let people run fast without having to deal with a 12-second internal cooldown? Tweak the numbers however you want, man, but just get rid of the internal cooldown. Another card that's slightly less quirky, slightly less unique. This card is like, it overlaps with a talent, first of all. It overlaps with Fortify. And it's boring and it's bad. This is classic example, it just sucks. I think you could make this reduce the, like, okay, let's say reduce the cooldown of an ability for every X amount of damage the shield takes. Like reduce the cooldown of his dash. Don't make it of his next shield, that'd be obnoxious, but reduce the cooldown of your dash when your shield takes damage by a little bit, not too much. Let's not break Barrack, but that would be cool and more balanceable. The next main tank on the list, Inara has not 1 but 2 reload speed cards, which I don't know why. I'm not gonna lie, but some stuff that you could do with this is, I think, Livingstone. Make it jump height during DR. So what you could do with that is you could actually probably boost yourself to some pretty cool spots, but you have to use both cooldowns for it, and it probably wouldn't be like super busted, right? Maybe it interacts with Summit, or like maybe it just lets you get to some cool spots with normal Inara, or like whatever, you know? Could be cool, more exciting than reload speed. For this card, again, I think it could be similar to like that Ying card chains that I suggested. You could have hitting all 3 of her pebbles reduce the cooldown of something, preferably not her big survival tools, but like reduce the cooldown of her warder's field, her cripple, her slow, whatever. I don't know, it's only I call it cripple, but that's because it's only ever worth calling when it is cripple, because otherwise it's kind of just like a main tank thing and no one else really has to worry about it. But you know, it could be more fun, more exciting, more viable, easier to tweak than reload speed too. So yeah, and just as an example, as a card that's bad but fun and I don't want change, we're gonna go back to Makoa. This card is fun. This is fantastic. This is a good card, but it's not very strong. Let's be honest. Like, this is not a strong card, but it's a fantastic card because it's fun. Like, nobody cares that it's not super viable because it's fun. And when this does like proc a whole bunch, when you like Like, there are so many people who probably have a build like this or something. Like, this is a great card. So, keep it. You get awesome clips like Whirl's Zin, right? Zin has a... That's Vatu. When did I click on Vatu? Zin has... What is it? Wildfire Zin. Everybody's seen the clips of Bitey on Whirl's Zin, right? It's awesome, right? So a card doesn't have to be like super strong to be a good card. You can have fun stuff like this. The issue isn't that every card isn't strong, it's that most cards aren't strong, and most cards are boring. But that's, like, everyone as a whole. The queen of bad cards has to be, I mean, Torvald kind of gives her a run for her money. I think Genos is up there too, but I think Willow kinda takes the cake. Like if we were to look at these, right, we have heal for a little bit after using some abilities. You know, we have 3 separate of those. We have a reload speed card. We have a movement speed out of combat card. We have so many cards. Like, the 1 ammo cards are cool, but like this card is used. Like, there's so many cards on it that are just useless. There's some that are just better than others. I made this build as a joke because I wanted to try to find a build in the game that did as little as possible, and I think this build accomplishes that. If you play this build in a game, you might as well be playing base kit Willow. Poor Willow. And if we're gonna look at the new character, Ray has some of these issues. Let's just clear this. So we have, you know, the classic heal for basically nothing when using an ability. We have this card, which is just completely garbage. We have some cards that are just super weak. These 2 cards do nothing. And we have some cards that are mandatory, which are, I mean, I don't know. I've seen people not running this at 5, but they're wrong. Fight me. I guess that's like a take, and I know that's what like you want different opinions, but like I don't think this is arguable. I'm gonna be honest, and I know that's also a take. And shut up, okay? This is a 5-pointer, and if you disagree, you're wrong, and I can back that up because frankly, it's the only reason to play this character right now, and I might make a video. I made a video on that. I was gonna say I might make a video on that, but I already did. Awesome, that's up right now on the channel. You can go watch that if you want. So she has the mandatory cards, right? Especially with this card proccing on shields in 4.5. If you're watching this in 4.6 or later, it has been fixed. So, you know, it's kind of concerning, right? Because you're seeing these issues, like, keep happening, right? So that's not great. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go over every example. That would take absolutely forever. This video is already long enough. But this whole idea of mass reworks and buffs to loadout cards is a change that I think is worth making. It appeals to everybody. It gives more viable stuff, gives more room for experimentation, gives more fun stuff. It's just, there's no downside aside from the time that it takes to make it. But that's going to be true of any change. This change has literally no downsides. And again, you don't even have to rework them. There's 2 categories here. There's good idea, but weak, which then you just buff that, you know, crank the numbers. And there's boring and weak, which those would probably have to be reworked. Ideally, you have cards that are strong, viable, and fun. So, yeah, subscribe if you like these sorts of videos. I stream daily on Twitch and have a Discord and a Twitter and YouTube. And those are all in the description along with the original video, which again, good video, but production quality wasn't quite there yet. So I hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll see everybody next time. Bye-bye.